It's something buyers now take for granted. New car models and new colors with new features showing up in dealer showrooms every year. But it wasn't always so. In the new book, Glamour Road, authors Tom Dolle and Jeff Stork look at how the auto industry found new ways to appeal to both women in the 1950s and young people in the 1960s by transforming cars into far more than just transportation. Barry Petersen has the story.
Flowing lines of this car prompted Sophie's brilliant red file gown, which accents the glitter of the new silver Cadillac El Camino.
Big fins meant big budgets for high fashion.
With the Chevrolet Nomad station wagon.
To sell car fashion.
The copper-hued Oldsmobile Cutlass.
It created an era of brochure and magazine ads where buyers would hopefully swoon over gowns and glamour.
Why do you call these cars dresses of steel?
Because they were.
Jeff Stork and Tom Dolle wrote Glamour Road about the fashion ads that made cars so desirable until the next year.
Fashion has the color palette of the season, which changes, and automobiles have the color palette of the season. Oh, yes, your car in last year's color is tired. Look at this wonderful new wood rose with a matching interior. It was fashion merchandising. It was just applied to objects made of steel.
And it worked?
It worked. It worked beautifully.
Models posed with gowns by the likes of Christian Dior and Oleg Cassini, and jewels by Harry Winston.
Well, there was particularly amongst the luxury brands, they wanted to connect their cars to the finest in luxury goods.
So if you could afford a Cadillac in that era, then theoretically you're traveling amongst the class of people who can afford high-end design and Dior gowns.
Correct.
And when a fur could cost more than the car, Cadillac would test its interiors to make sure new fabrics didn't rip the fur off the coat.
It's a different time. When you think in the 50s, the concept of animal rights was making sure that the car wouldn't hurt your fur coat.
Right, and they did.
And they did.
And if women needed help, there was an ad for that.
My favorite ad, how to change a tire if you're a woman.
Here's my advice. Put on some fresh lipstick, fluff up your hairdo, stand in a safe spot off the road, wave and look helpless and feminine. If this doesn't do the trick, I guess I've overestimated men, especially truck drivers. If passing males don't come to the rescue, try to get to the nearest phone and call a service station.
In the 50s, training films taught salesmen to talk horsepower to men and interiors to ladies.
And started showing Mrs. Carter our color and trim book. Did you ever see a woman who wasn't fascinated by a swatch of exceptionally beautiful fabric?
Women customers inspired upgrades like the Power Princess package, power steering, automatic transmission, and power brakes for a tap from a single high heel.
Imperial made it a point that the daintiest slipper could stop the big Imperial.
But car companies run almost exclusively by men slowly figured out that women might actually buy a car.
To do that, they basically had to learn how to communicate with women. And it sounds crazy, but Chrysler actually produced a pamphlet that taught male salespeople that women are people like everyone else.
And what did the pamphlet help them do or tell them to do?
It actually taught them specific words, buzzwords that they thought would resonate with the female mind. Words like line and glamour and decorator and practical.
The power of women buyers exploded in the 1960s. Fancy furs were out, bikinis and bucket seats were in. And the appeal to women was anything but subtle, like six and the single girl, as in 6 cylinders. Get it? And for the first time, ads featured black customers in Ebony, a magazine aimed at black leisure and lifestyle.
Studebaker advertised their Lark in 1960 in a series of ads that actually had black models very prominently in the ad as the supposed consumers and users of that car.
The memories of big cars drenched in chrome may have faded, but do not think the appeal has dimmed. When Kim Zukowski laid eyes on a 1957 Plymouth Fury at a book signing for Glamour Road, she would have bought one. The glitz got her.
The first thing that I say when I'm in here is it's very elegant. The touches of gold, the nice big steering wheel, it's just glamorous. I like it.
So it worked.
It worked.
Inside, you'll find this lady's beauty vanity. This luxury is standard equipment on all the Larks.
It took decades for women in the ads to go from just a pretty passenger to driving her car she bought for herself. And that legacy of change lives on, well past the days of furs and fins. For CBS Saturday Morning, Barry Petersen, Palm Springs, California.
Wow.
That
We've
was,
come a long way.
so good.
that was so good.
Fluff your hair, put on some lipstick, and if that doesn't work,
Look helpless.
That's how you get a taxi, too, is what I said. Yeah. Amazing. I just said to you, though, that's how men buy cars now, too, though, the look. Like the,
Look
you know,
helpless?
yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
No, the look of the car, it matters.
what's crazy is I think of my parents growing up in the 60s and 70s. Like, we're not that far removed from that era.
No. But we're getting older.
Yeah, we are.
We're not fluffing our hair in order to get a car.